Jane Vance is standing right there. She's a retired teacher from New London, New Hampshire, and she says she is undecided. Jane?
Hi.
This will be an ongoing fun thing. Hey, Jane.
Gun violence has reached epidemic proportions. Each time another horrific shooting occurs, politicians offer their prayers and thoughts, but do absolutely nothing concrete to stop another tragic shooting from occurring. If Republicans retain control of the Senate, how do you plan on getting common sense gun legislation passed?
Well, thank you for all you've done for our children over the years, Jane. I've got two kids, one in public school, the other one is autistic and in a special needs school, so appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you.
My younger son's school had active shooter drills a number of weeks ago, and he's 4 years old. And I looked at the studies I could find and tried to find studies that said that active shooter drills make our kids safer, and I could not find any evidence that they do. I then tried to find evidence that the shooter drills make our kids anxious, concerned, stressed out, and confused, and I found a whole stack. So we should be making these active shooter drills optional for families and communities and not requiring them at the government level. If the parents want them, great, but if parents don't want to send our kids the message that they have to be in fear of their classmates and that their life could be in danger at any moment, then I think that should be the parents and the community's choice. That said, how do we actually get the common sense gun safety laws that the vast majority of Americans agree on passed? And right now, the problem is that the NRA has a stranglehold on a certain number of legislators who feel like their seat will be in jeopardy if they decide to go against that lobby. And this is not just the NRA, unfortunately. This is the drug companies, this is the tech companies, this is the fossil fuel companies. So if we're going to pass common sense gun safety laws in this country, we need to actually break the lobbyist stranglehold in our government. And my proposal to do that is to put 100 democracy dollars in the hands of every American around the country that you can give to any candidate or campaign you want each year. Use it or lose it. If we were to do this, we would wash out the lobbyist cash that has overrun our government by a factor of 4 to 1. And then legislators would actually feel free to vote their conscience and what their constituents want. I believe that would help us pass common sense gun safety laws in this country. I also think there's a lot we can do even as we're trying to get those laws passed, because there's a whole string of causes that contribute to gun violence in our communities. We have to face facts that 98% of the shooters we're talking about in the school environments are boys. We have a real boy to men problem in this country. And as the father of an autistic son, I know if you have the wrong boy in the wrong school, very bad things can happen, generally just to that boy and his family, but sometimes something that's external in the community. And too many of our schools don't have appropriate resources for kids who are neurologically atypical or struggling and they get pushed to the side, particularly boys who are in this position. Right now, the United States Congress funds 15% of special needs education resources for our kids. I want to take that to 100% and get this burden off of communities. I want to invest in a mental health infrastructure. I want to try and decrease the supply of guns in our country through a perpetual evergreen buyback that is in effect. So anytime a gun owner wants to sell a gun, they can just sell it back to the government to try and get the supply down. And then I want to offer every gun owner in the country a complimentary personalization upgrade where only they can fire the gun based upon their palm print and the size of their hand. This way, if the gun gets, let's say, taken by their kid, then it's useless because they can't fire it. And if you're a gun owner, you actually kind of like this personalization upgrade because it makes your gun cooler. It's like a James Bond personalization. You know, like show your friends, being like, only I can fire this. But it also makes us all safer. So there are things we need to do to try and attack the gun violence problem at every level, from our families, our schools, our mental health infrastructure, the supply of guns. But you're 100% right. It needs to start at the top. We need to break the stranglehold of the NRA on our legislators and get them to vote along with the will of the American people.
Yeah. Can we talk about...
Are all y'all paying attention? Automation gonna sweep the nation unless we get him in. Andrew Yang, 2020 freedom dividend. Climate change is real again. Science rules. Teachers bringing home some bread. Medicare for every citizen. That's nice. Andrew Yang, 2020 freedom dividend.